in the campaign. I mean, Hillary Clinton laughed when somebody that was introducing her basically left under God out of the Pledge of Allegiance. She laughed about it. So, we've got choices still on this issue. No, I don't think Donald Trump is a Christian. Would he be a better candidate for Christians? My jury's out on it. I want to know what you have to say and what you think about it. 800-351-1212. Michael, what are your thoughts?
Well, on the topic of, should Christians vote for Donald Trump, I think that faith is a personal matter for every person. And if you are a Christian and it's, you're contemplating who to vote for, I think the first thing you should do is pray about it. If you are a believer and a professing Christian, that should always be your first step, is to seek guidance and wisdom. And if, for me, I can only speak for myself here, but as a religious liberties attorney, to me, the primary issue is going to be where does Donald Trump side on matters of faith and religious freedom in this country. And I think the clearest indicator of that is, for me, is what types of Supreme Court justices would he appoint if he were given the opportunity to do so? Who would he appoint? And what criteria or rationale does he use in deciding who he thinks should be not just a Supreme Court justice, but a federal judge? What types of judicial temperament and philosophy is he looking for in a judge? And then beyond that, begin to look at what types of statements has he made about matters that are matters affecting religious freedom and First Amendment rights in this country, and that's what informs my decision. And because
have you heard much? Have you heard enough?
On the issue of Supreme Court justices, I've heard him say that he thinks somebody like a Justice Scalia or a Justice Thomas would be the appropriate choice to replace Justice Scalia's vacancy. So that's encouraging and promising. However, with Mr. Trump, unfortunately, it's always hard to tell how willing he is to, or how committed he is to that statement, because, of course, he has gone on record as saying that he thinks Common Core should be eliminated, and only to reverse his position shortly thereafter. So would he do the same with, who he's decided? And he hasn't so far, to my knowledge. I haven't heard him recant his I would pick somebody like Scalia or Thomas. Would you feel
better if he actually made a list of 10 possibilities, and you could look at those names and say, okay, this guy, his decisions on this circuit court have been favorable to religious liberty? I mean, if he made such a list, some people are asking him to do that.
Absolutely.
Would that help?
I think it would, although that's always difficult and dangerous as well, because you don't want to put those judges in a bind right now or create any unnecessary scrutiny on them at this point. So I think I've always wondered why during these national debates, why the moderator doesn't ask something like, if you were elected president, who would you appoint as your Secretary of Defense? Who would be your Chief of Staff? Who would be your Attorney General? Who would be your Secretary of Labor, Commerce, Education, etc.?
I think this would be more important with him than in most cases.
And it's because so often, as president, it's not just a matter of who the president is, it's who does the president surround him or herself with. What types of leaders and personalities and philosophies about because I don't have the answers to those questions. And, of course, Mr. Trump is not a politician, so he doesn't necessarily have a body of work to examine. And that's what makes it very intriguing and difficult.
Very. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're taking your calls, 800-351-1212. Let's go to, on this Trump question, I think we'll start there. Let's go to Nick in Nevada. Hi, Nick. Thanks for calling.
Hi, how are you today?
Great.
Great. Basically, it comes down to, like someone else has said, Pastor Jeffers in Texas, we're not voting for a pastor. We're voting for, highest office in the land, and, involves a lot of people. And so the thing is, to me, we know what Hillary Clinton stands for. And even if someone to the right of her is moderate, wouldn't that be much better? Because there's a much greater chance that Supreme Court justices will be more conservative than what she would choose. And Donald Trump has said he is going to put a list out. I heard him say that. And so, to me, I was for Cruz, and he's out. But to me, we have to do everything to stop her. It seems like a no-brainer. I don't understand it. Now, as far as voting your conscience, great. But the thing is, if your conscience results in Hillary getting elected anyway, then how have you really voted your conscience when you know this person is super bad? It's like you don't want that person. You have to have anybody but her. And like I say, I know Trump has a lot to be desired, but I don't see the other possibility to do but to vote for him just to stop her. And it's a sad state that we have to do that.
It is a sad state. Mike, a lot of people that I know that are never Trump, the reasoning is, they fully understand, or they understand what Nick has said, that, we've got one who where they're going to land on just about every issue. You've got one you don't know. So there's a chance that Donald Trump could be more conservative on some things. So that's their, so they're going to vote for the one that there's a chance that we'll get some things we want. But these people are saying, no, we're going to, if we nominate him as the standard bearer for the conservative movement or for the Republican Party, we have actually hurt the party for the long term. So they think they're taking a long view. And so, I don't know, do you think that's a valid view? And does that should that be weighing into our thinking as conservatives?
Well, I certainly think anybody's, views on these things, you should never call somebody's political views invalid, unless they're premising them on, false facts or false premises. But with the case of the Never Trump movement, I understand why people have that sentiment.
I do too.
Because they feel protective of the quote unquote the movement or the party. And I've heard some people go on record as saying it is the duty of conservatives in this country, if Trump is the nominee, to vote for Trump. And it is also your duty as a conservative to leave the party after you've cast that vote.
Oh, I haven't heard that one.
And then I hear others just say, I'm just staying home on this one. I can't even do the hold my nose and cast my ballot for Trump. So, I know, and these people are intelligent people. They're not, they've thought through it and they have valid reasons why they feel that way. So I think it's going to be a very interesting election to see what people ultimately end up deciding to do.
It sure is. We're taking your calls, and we'll be right back. We're hearing a lot lately about the need for educational institutions to comply with Title IX of the United States Education Code. This part of the law, which dates back to 1972, prohibits discrimination based on sex. In order to receive federal funds of any sort, schools must abide by it. Over the years, colleges and universities have figured out how to comply. But lately, many faith-based institutions of higher learning find they can no longer do so without violating the religious beliefs upon which they were founded and on which they stand. That's because the U.S. Department of Education has changed the definition of the word sex, expanding it to include sexual orientation and gender identity. The law allows religious colleges and universities to request and obtain exemptions from this law. They have been doing so in areas including student admission and housing and also employment. Recently, there's been a flurry of requests for exemptions from Title IX as schools face new demands to embrace gender-free bathrooms and sports teams. It's no surprise there's been an uptick in requests for exemptions from laws mandating that schools deny the biblical and biological reality that men and women are different. The Human Rights Campaign got nervous about it. They do that when they fail to attain full participation in their gender-blended utopia. The HRC wanted the list of schools who have received these exemptions made public. They've been pestering the administration to do this, and they got their wish this month. So, the Department of Education launched a website that lists the colleges and universities, more than 200 of them, that sought exemptions to the Title IX requirements, along with all correspondence with the colleges regarding their requests. Family Research Council President Tony Perkins calls it a shame list of anyone who asked to be excused from an ideology that the American College of Pediatricians calls child abuse. The left praised the move. HRC President Chad Griffin said, "We commend the Department of Education for answering our call for greater transparency and helping to ensure no student unknowingly enrolls in a school that intends to discriminate against them." He said, "Faith should never be used as a guise for discrimination." The word discrimination can have an exclusionary feel, but colleges choose. They must. The First Amendment protects the right of a religious organization to choose students, employees, and make binding rules and policies based upon its faith principles. 8 senators also expressed concern about an uptick in exemption requests. They sent a letter to then Education Secretary Arne Duncan in December, noting, quote, "the alarming and growing trend of schools quietly seeking the right to discriminate against LGBT students and not disclosing that information publicly." Not surprisingly, the shame list has already generated negative responses from transgender individuals and groups like Campus Pride. Christian colleges should be protected, not shamed. For Point of View, I'm Penna Dexter.
Now, back to Point of View, your listener-supported source for truth.
Full bank of phones. We'll try to get to as many as we can. Let's take another presidential politics call. We'll go to Nabil in South Carolina. Hi, Nabil.
Hey, this is Nabil, and I'm originally from Pakistan, and I'm a Christian minister. So my question is that Donald Trump did say that, he's going to be banning Muslims from coming to United States. But what is his point of view about Christians who are living in Muslim dangerous countries like Pakistan, Syria, and Afghanistan, and all these countries? Is there anything he will do to help these Christians? Because I know when he says something extreme about Muslims, then Muslims in Pakistan or other countries they don't like Christians over there, and they try to burn our churches and burn Christians, and so it's pretty bad.
I'm glad you asked the question, Nabil, because it's been something that I think should be injected into the political campaign. What about the suffering church? What about the Christians that are fleeing the Middle East? What is our role as a country to protect those people? People have been encouraging Barack Obama in some senses to take care of people who are displaced by terrorism. So it should be a campaign issue. We should find out where Donald Trump stands on this. I think it would be great to put this before him and have this be part of the presidential campaign. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, that should be, because I know, I lived in Pakistan for 22 years. I've been here for 5 years, and I know it's very bad over there. Just recently, 2-3 days ago, they accused someone with a blasphemy, like somebody did a blasphemy against Muhammad that it wasn't even true, and they're going to burn the whole Christian village. So I don't know. I was very disappointed when I came to U.S. that I thought it's a Christian country.
What's your life been like here?
Sorry?
How's your life been here since you've moved to the
Oh,
U.S.?
it's amazing. It's amazing. My life is just amazing. I mean, it's a blessed country. People are living in a great country, but it's just going into a wrong direction. But I'm blessed. I've been almost 15 different states. I go and preach in different churches, and thanks God, God is doing amazing work. But it's just I'm praying that we need this nation to go to right direction, because all these transgenders and all these problems that you were talking about, it's crazy. I can't even think that people are, the legislation or whoever on the government are doing this. I feel really bad, because I'm from Pakistan, and over there, I had to study Islam when I was in school from 3rd grade to all the way to university, and it's like necessary.
And when did you come here?
I came in a Bible college.
When? How long ago?
I came 5.5 years ago in 2010 in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I just graduated with my doctorate degree in theology.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much. And, but here, when I see all these schools, they don't even talk, not even allowed to talk about Jesus. And in Pakistan, all the most Christians have to study Islam. So, anyhow. It's just,
I think we do have certain freedoms in this country, and the sentiment about being afraid of too many Muslims coming into the country, that there might be some terrorists there, that's what's behind Donald Trump's ban, his quote-unquote ban. So there's this sentiment, there's this desire to protect the country from harm. It's just that rhetoric that causes problems around the world. I do know that. But you can also look at that and say, listen, people are attracted to Donald Trump because he's got an instinct to protect the country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree with him when he said that he's like Muslim states us and all these, and I know for sure that's true because I am from Pakistan and I know that they always talk about America, as burned the flags of America and all that. So he's right in that situation. But I'm just concerned about Christians who are persecuted and who are living in constantly like in fear, and So I just the government have to do something for them. Like Asia Bibi, she's one of them in Pakistan for last 5-6 years in jail, and she have 5 children. And you probably know about her. Mm-hmm. It's all over the world right now. But, the government have to do something.
Well, Nabil, thank you. We're grateful for your ministry, and thank you for your call.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
God bless you. Let's take another call from Bob in Arizona. Hi, Bob. You're on Point of View.
How are you today?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful.
We don't have much time, so just get straight to your point.
Yes. I think that we should adopt a you first attitude with our wonderful President Penn, and if he's willing to make a pen stroke to require this in all of the schools, I think every federal agency, including TSA, should ask you first when you go through the lines, well, do you identify as being a woman or a man, so that we can choose the right person to pat us down?
Okay. Well, there's another point to bring to the equation. Thank you so much, Bob. We appreciate your call.
Okay.
Well, I guess, that's what we're going to have to do, Mike. You mentioned earlier, could it ever become illegal to even, or unnecessary or just not done, to put a person's biological sex on their birth certificate? I mean, are we going to come to the point where we really don't ever delineate that fact about a person?
I wouldn't put it past the government. As I've said many times before, nothing surprises me anymore. And as Solomon wisely said, there's nothing new under the sun, really. So nothing should surprise us. Interestingly, Bob's point about having the you first policy, that's ironic that he says that because, of course, with the DOJ suing North Carolina over HB2, one of the things that may have been overlooked in this is that the DOJ's own policies or position on this don't necessarily apply to itself, in that federal prisons, unless they've recently changed it, federal prisons don't allow co-ed prison cells, or certainly not showers and bathing areas. They definitely keep them sex segregated in our federal prisons. So
the Obama has issued no orders about that, correct?
Not to my knowledge thus far. That does not apply to DOJ and the Federal Bureau of Prisons, which is under the cognizance of the DOJ. And so there's a case of what's good for the goose is not necessarily good for the gander here.
Interesting conversation today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being part of it. Unfortunately, we can't get to all the calls, Mike, because we don't have the time. But we appreciate it, and I want to say thank you to everybody that helped put the program on. Andrew and Catherine, we appreciate all the work that you've done today. And Mike, thank you so much for being here. I know there's going to be a lot more to talk about, so you'll have to come back soon.
Yep, we're just going to have to get some new religious liberty cases for you guys to talk about.
Yeah, well, I know there are plenty out there. I forgot to ask you about graduation. There are lots of rights that students have to acknowledge their faith at graduation. And Liberty Institute, actually, if you go to pointofview.net and click through, you can find out what those rights are. This might be a good opportune time to do that. Thank you all for joining us so much. Have a great weekend, and God bless you.
This election has been one of the most divisive in history. Even close friends have been driven apart because they dared support the wrong candidate. Jesus said the world would know his disciples by how they love each other. I'm asking you to do something today as a sign of unity. Step up and support the Truth Team at Point of View Radio so we can be a beacon of truth in 2016 and beyond. America needs Christians to be informed and as unified as possible, applying God's wisdom to civic life. Point of View can be a key part of a successful mission. Visit pointofview.net. Make a difference by giving as generously as you can, or call us 800-347-5151. Our next president will likely appoint at least 2 Supreme Court justices, maybe even more. We need each other, and I believe that we need Point of View, and Point of View needs you to invest in the mission. Please join us today, pointofview.net and 1-800-347-5151. Point of View is produced by Point of View Ministries.
I just thank God for y'all. I listen to you every day, truly. I wanted to thank y'all for everything you do each day to inform Christian families and our community about the things we can do, and just the way you're so informative. I listen to you daily and love you guys and appreciate you so much.
God bless you, Kirby, for keeping this show so on track and for the decades of wonderful help to this nation that Point of View has been. We're all big fans of your work, and we pray that God will just prosper it.
As a Christian, over the years that I've followed this program, I am constantly challenged to be on guard and to evaluate what's going on. And if for no other reason, to protect the caliber and the truth of your programming, I need to participate and to back your program financially to ensure that the truth stays out there for people to hear, to view, and to be a part of.
This is Point of View Radio.